It's a mind game.
It's very brave.
I keep breaking through walls.
The monster down there.
The walls simply get thicker and higher.
The monster.
And I have to keep breaking through and breaking through.
It's very brave.
I can't stop the shaking.
The monster.
Hate cold water.
Charleston, South Carolina. Condé Nast Traveler named this the #1 city in the world. And no wonder. Charleston has everything. A rich history, beautiful beaches, fine dining, the #1 shopping street in the world, and an arts and music scene that is second to none. But I didn't need a travel magazine to tell me that. I'm Charlie James, award-winning radio host, guest speaker, and all-around nice guy. Since moving here 2 years ago, I've had the privilege to experience Charleston as only a local can, and I haven't even scratched the surface yet. So come with me and I'll show you Charleston, the way I see it. This is Charles on Charleston.
When we first started Charles on Charleston, we wanted to highlight the people, places, and things that made this such an incredible city. We saw ourselves talking to politicians, musicians, and world-class athletes. We never knew we would find all of these things in one person, Kathleen Wilson.
If you're into local politics, you know Kathleen Wilson as a member of the Charleston City Council. If you're into classical music, you know her as the principal harpist for the Charleston Symphony Orchestra. But if you're into long-distance, open-water swimming, you know her as one of the best in the world. Before most of us wake up, Kathleen Wilson is here. But she's not just getting her morning exercise, she's training. Training for something that few have ever done, and most would never attempt.
I like to train, and it's part of the day, and I treat it like a job. I get up every morning at 4:45, and I know if I put the work in, then I'm going to thank myself. When I'm standing on a beach, or I'm standing on the stern of a boat about to go into the water, I can look back and say with certainty, I prepared well. I never, ever under-prepare for a swim or take a swim for granted.
But these aren't just any swims. They're some of the most famous and challenging swims in the world.
There is something that we refer to as the Triple Crown, which I have already accomplished, and that is swims across the English Channel, Manhattan Island, and the Catalina Channel in California. And I have done the 3 of those. I was the 12th swimmer to accomplish that.
In fact, Kathleen was the first South Carolina resident to swim the English Channel.
My sister and my dad both tell me when I was about 11 or 12, I announced one day that I was going to swim the English Channel. And they both remember this very vividly, and I have no memory of it. But they tell me that I talked about that, and I was very serious about it. And at that point, 11, 12, I was starting to swim competitively, and I knew that I loved the water so very much. I was very, very comfortable there. I was very aware that I was the first South Carolina resident to attempt to swim the English Channel, and what I became more aware of is what a big deal it had become in Charleston. The local paper, the Post and Courier, had run a series of articles about my training and this whole adventure, and doing something unprecedented, chose to send a crew to England with me. There was definitely a lot of pressure, but I was well prepared, and swim day came and I didn't feel any of the pressure. It was get in and start swimming and never look back. It took me 13 hours and 10 minutes, and I will never ever forget, at about 11 and a half hours, my husband coming to the side of the boat and announcing that we had a problem. And I looked at him and said, "Yeah, what?" And he said, "If you don't pick it up and give us everything you have, you're going to lose your swim. You're about 800 meters from France. If you give us a good 30 minutes, we can have you on the beach, but you have got to give us everything." My course looks like a fish hook at the end, and it was excruciating. It was absolutely excruciating.
She was also the first person ever to swim around the Charleston Peninsula.
That was a swim that I had always wanted to do, 526 to 526. It's a beltway around Charleston. I said, that'd be fun. It morphed into the Swim Around Charleston, which is a 12-mile event that I created. And we're in the process of turning it into a nonprofit to help aquatics in this area.
But for open water swimmers, there is a pinnacle. An even greater and more treacherous challenge.
And recently, there has become something called the Ocean 7, which is kind of like the 7 peaks around the world that mountaineers strive for. If I successfully swim the Cook Strait, I will have accomplished 5 of the 7. And the only remaining 2 would be the Tsuguru Channel in northern Japan and the monster of them all, the North Channel, which separates Scotland from Northern Ireland. To date, only 1 swimmer has ever accomplished it, an Irish swimmer, who by all accounts is just a great fellow. I have not met him, but he's wonderful, and he has accomplished all of these.
That Irishman is Stephen Redmond, who in July of 2012 completed the final swim of the Ocean 7 by crossing the Tsuguru Strait in Japan in 12 hours and 45 minutes. But now for Kathleen, it's on to New Zealand.
Cook Strait in New Zealand, which is the strait, it's a 17-mile swim, and the Cook Strait runs between the North and South Islands of New Zealand. It's one of the greatest swims in the world. It's a very tough swim because the water is moving so very, very quickly through the strait, and not in a way usually that assists the swimmer.
In March of 2013, Kathleen arrived in New Zealand to face her next challenge.
All I want you to do is swim into one of these rocks. When we get a bit closer, touch it, we'll get a photo. You're on our way.
Alright.
Have a good time.
Yeah. When I get in the water, I gotta take a pee.
Fantastic. Fill your boots. And you can pee up against the rock and we're on our way.
Here we go.
Okay, excellent. So that's a good one there. So we'll just turn here and you can just take your time and just swim in nicely. Good luck.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kathleen,
Ready? Here we go.
Roger that. So you'll just come around. Just hold on.
So you're swimming along, everything seems to be going great, and then trouble starts. What happens about hour 9?
Things were not starting to go well. They had to repeat things to get my attention. And the roof fell in around 9.5 hours when it was clear that I was not doing well. I was rapidly losing any sense of direction, any sense of being able to follow instructions. And they went through a whole process of talking to me and having me answer questions. And by 9:39, it was obvious that we were going to get into real trouble if the swim continued any longer. But I fought them the whole way. I kept insisting that I could finish the swim. I'm disappointed, obviously, very disappointed. The verdict was, after sitting down with a debrief with Philip Rush, is that I was 8 to 10 pounds underweight. A very elementary mistake. I'm kicking myself now. I'm really kicking myself.
We have a video. We have a message here, actually, from someone.
Hi, Kathleen. Just a quick message. Hope you're well. I know you're training, and I know you will swim the Cook Straits. It's very brave what you did, and you're only getting accustomed to the monster down there. I know you'll return and succeed the next time. Good luck always, and keep in contact. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Oh, how nice. Oh, that was wonderful.
Isn't that cool?
really was wonderful. Yeah. What a great guy.
I'm back at it, training. I don't think there's any athlete who has ever gotten through an entire career with all wins and no losses. Yeah, this is the first time I've been in the open water since we got back.
Ah, okay.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
See you in a bit. Part of the great challenge of this sport is learning how to be alone in my own head. It's very difficult to be alone, my own thoughts, or in the case of Cook, any other swim, the great physical suffering that goes on, and that the mental suffering goes back to the whole concept of having heart and having courage and not being afraid to be vulnerable and completely exposed. It's not going to stop me. I keep right on going. I've got to be made of tougher stuff than that.